in C#. So before going to satellite assemblies in C#, I just want to describe that generally in C# there are three types of assemblies. One is private assemblies, second one is shared assemblies, and third type of assemblies are satellite assemblies. So in this video we will go through what are satellite assemblies are and how to use that and what is the exact purpose of satellite assemblies. So we will go through this PPT and after that we will switch over to one demo describing satellite assemblies. So in this video we will go through satellite assemblies in C#. So the first question is, what are satellite assemblies? A satellite assembly is a compiled library that contains localized resources such as string, bitmap, etc. You are likely to use them when creating a multi-language application. Satellite assembly provide you with the capability of designing and deploying your solution to multiple cultures rather than hard coding strings, bitmap, etc. into your main application. Satellite assemblies are used to deploy application in multiple cultures with one satellite assembly per culture. This is the default behavior, but you can obviously have one more granular control if you handle the build process manually. So what are satellite assemblies are? So satellite assemblies are the type of assemblies, and assemblies are obviously a compiled library. So main purpose of satellite assemblies is to implement the multicultural functionality in your application. The best example of multicultural cultural is when you browse Google. There are options that if you uh, want to use the menus as well as the button levels, or you want to customize the Google site in Spanish or in Marathi or in any language that are defined in the cultural resource culture of any language, then you can do. And how this can be achieved? This can be achieved using satellite assemblies. So I will just we will just go through the example. So if we talk about the overview of the satellite assemblies, satellite assembly do not contain code except for that which is auto generated. Therefore they cannot be executed as they are not in the main assemblies. So resource assemblies should be in the main assembly. So main assembly generally called that resource assemblies, and accordingly functionality appropriate assemblies is satellite assemblies used. And in the previous slide we just learned that you can use one functionality per one satellite assemblies. So without any delay, let's switch over to implementation demo. So I have one project that is satellite assembly, you can see here. And in that project, if I talk about, and this is the Windows application. So if I talk about, this is the one drop down here, right? This is the result label. And if I run this program, you can see there are three menus: English, Hindi, and Arabia. That means through this program, I want to use different resources, satellite assemblies in my program so that appropriate message can be generated. So first I will go through the code. So here you can see that in our satellite assembly code I have just added resource files. So these are the resource files, and how you can add new resource files is just right click on it, new item, and just type here resource. Here is the resource file. So resource file is just a file that contains various resources, and it is the part of the satellite assemblies implementing. So here I have added three satellite assemblies, 1, 2, and 3. And if I open the satellite assembly, you can see I have just mentioned, if I have a satellite assembly name is string.ar.sa.resx, that is the extension of source file, message from Arabia. If I open US, message from English, If I open Hindi, message from Hindi, that means that whatever the value I will choose from the drop down, according to that corresponding resource file will be used. And who is responsible for doing that? It is the satellite assembly that is responsible for doing that. So if not going beyond, you just learn that satellite assemblies are used for the multicultural and the part of the globalization feature of any language. So if I talk about the code, this is the main code that we need to, this is the resource manager class. And if I go to the definition, initialize, if I go to the definition, and that is the .NET class, initialize the new instance of the system resource class that looks up resources contained in files with the specific root name of the given assembly. So this is the main assembly, right? And this is the, because satellite assembly is itself a DLL. So this is the main assembly, and we are going to use these three resource files using these assemblies. So this is the class resource manager, and it comes into system.resources. Here we have to pass SateliteAssembly.string, means this is the name and the string is the extension to call the appropriate satellite, because these are the string type of resource files. And if you see the name string.ar.asx, so if I go to the page load, this is the page load. I am filling in the drop down with the English, Hindi, Arabia, right, and calling the change function. So what is doing that? It is just saying that if the selected index is 0, that means if I am selecting English, then this function change culture will be used with this language code. That means we want to call this type of resource file, that is enus. And what is the result in that enus is? It is change culture. It will pass culture info enus here, right? Get specific culture enus, and label result is in the resource file, and it is for English. It is using message from English, right? So this is message from English. If I choose Hindi, then the index will pass, it will pass HE, and according to that HE, it will, whatever this HE we have specified in the label result, it will return to the label 1, right? And if I choose Arabia, it will select index 2, it will pass here, it will, this class will do the magic cultural info, and it will just check the value what I have will given the value of label result into this text, right? So that is the source file. So if I run this program, you can see if message from English, because on the page load I am passing English. If I select Arabia, then it will pass message from Arabia. If I will pass Hindi, then it will pass message from Hindi. So that is the main functionality of the satellite assemblies. So if I go to the satellite second slide, a satellite assembly is a compile time that contains resources such as string bitmaps you are likely to use when creating a multi-language application, right? If you are trying to create the multi-language application according to the area, then you can use the satellite assembly. That is the primary use of the satellite assemblies. So one thing we need to note about satellite assembly is that resource manager allows application to load resources. Load resources means if we are passing here string enus rex, but if you want, suppose you want to add new resource file, let me add new resource file here. and if I'm putting here name string.abc, right, means we want to use the culture having abc, culture info have abc, although abc culture doesn't exist in the culture info because every language in the programming has specific culture info. So while programming you can code that for Spanish it is the culture info. So I'm just showing you that. So just copy it, label result, error, right, because it will throw the error. And in this, although it is not required because it will throw the error on the page load itself because we are using culture info function in there itself. But let's complete the code first. So it will be abc, right, and it would be abc. So you can see I have made one function, one resource file, that abc, but abc is not culture class, means that is not defined in the culture info class. That is your culture info class is the class based on the culture specified by the name. That means abc name doesn't define in the culture info class. So if I run this program, it will just throw the exception here. You can see, right, what is saying could not find the resource appropriate for the specified culture. That means abc culture doesn't exist at all, right? So you have to specify the culture that is defined in the culture info class, and you can google it while programming according to the particular language you want to use. So I'm just defining that. So that is the special note on the slide, that the resource class allows application to load resources from the satellite assembly, and the default behavior is that doesn't culture in UI. Note that the culture cannot known at the runtime if the application cannot find the desired resources, the fallback process. In this case we are using abc, but that is not part of the culture UI, current UI culture defined in the programming language. That's why we are getting the error. So culture should be defined in the culture info class, and that is standard to any programming language. So guys, in this video we gone through the satellite assemblies. Satellite assemblies are just type of another assemblies, but they are calling particular assemblies at the runtime. And the main purpose of the satellite assemblies is to use globalization, or the, if you want to make your application to multi-language, right, multi-language application, then you can use the satellite assemblies in your program. So guys, we have one channel, that is Vishab Sood. You can post your queries, you can post your comments, you can subscribe it, you can press the bell icon so that you can get the latest updates. We generally we are also accepting the questionnaires or the any specific session you want from us. Just comment us and we will try our best from the possible. So thanks for watching this. Thank you.